City of Adelaide Council meeting on Tuesday, 24 March 2026. The Lord Mayor is in the chair. This council meeting will be streamed live and recorded for publishing to the internet. Please note that an audio and visual recording is being taken of this meeting. This means that your presence at and any contribution you make to the meeting may be collected, used, disclosed, or published publicly by the Council, including transferring outside Australia.
Good evening. Council acknowledges we're meeting on the traditional country of the Kaurna people of the Adelaide Plains and pays respects to elders past and present. We recognise and respect their cultural heritage, beliefs and relationship with the land. We acknowledge that they are of continuing importance to the Kaurna people living today, and we also extend that respect to other Aboriginal language groups and other First Nations people who may be with us this evening. The Council acknowledges the vision of Colonel William Light in determining the site of Adelaide and the design of the city, with its 6 squares and surrounding belt of continuous parklands, which is recognised on the National Heritage List as one of the greatest examples of Australia's planning heritage. We pray for wisdom, courage, empathy, understanding and guidance in the decisions that we make, and whilst seeking and respecting the opinions of others. May we in this meeting speak honestly, listen attentively, think clearly and decide wisely for the good governance of the City of Adelaide and the well-being of those we serve. Now I ask all those present to stand in silence in memory of those who gave their lives in defence of the country, at sea, on land and in the air. Thank you, members. Please be seated. Now, just before we begin the meeting, I warn you we have a new microphone system, so there'll be some pauses while we learn exactly how to manage all the equipment. So please bear with me if I'm a little slow to respond to requests. Item 6, apologies and leave of absence. We only have leave from Councillor Snape. Could I ask if someone would confirm the minutes? Councillor Abrahimzadeh moving, Deputy Lord Mayor seconding. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried with the majority voting for them. Item 8. Does anyone declare conflicts of interest? Councillor Freeman.
Is that on? Hello, okay. Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'm declaring a general conflict with item 15.1 based on the administration's response that partnership with DIT would be required to progress the motion, which is my primary place of employment, but not something I'm involved with, so I'm going to stay and participate in the vote and the debate.
Councillor, would you fill out the form as you have? Thank you very much. Councillor Abrahimzadeh, you have the call.
Lord Mayor, I'd like to declare a general conflict of interest for agenda item 11, recommendation 3, as the same as our committee meeting last week. I have filled out the form and I will pass it over to the governance team. It's a general conflict of interest, but in the interest of caution, I think I will vacate the chamber.
Thank you, Councillor. We'll move on to the next item. Deputations, we have none. Petitions, we have none. The first item is recommendation 11. Councillor Marr, would you move the motion as printed?
Yep.
Seconded. Seconded by Councillor Abraham.
Lord Mayor, if it's being moved en bloc, I'll vacate the chamber now.
Thank you. Councillor Abraham today is vacating his chair. We'll just wait for him to leave the room. I did notice that the Deputy Lord Mayor was going to second. Any debate on this item? No. In that case, all those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, members. We'll move on to the next item and call Councillor Abraham today back. We have, sorry, he didn't have a chance to leave the vicinity. Thank you. Item 12, there are no CEO reports. Item 13, I would just report that this week we've had several civic events. I hosted Zonta Club of Adelaide, Women's Achievement Awards, and we were joined by several members of council. Those involved had made a tangible difference to the city as they have been working for equality and opportunity for women worldwide, as well as making items for women with breast cancer and supporting birthing packs for women in difficult circumstances. They have also funded scholarships, health initiatives, and campaigns against domestic violence and family violence. In addition, I attended the Study Adelaide Welcome Gala dinner, joined by international education representatives from around the world. And continuing the international and multicultural theme, I also went to the opening night of the 37th Alliance Française French Film Festival. It's running until the 22nd of April, and I encourage you to attend as there are some marvellous non-Hollywood events on offer. During Commonwealth Week, I also went with Councillor Davis to the Christchurch North Adelaide Choral Evensong, where Her Excellency the Governor read a message from His Royal Highness the King as part of his Commonwealth Day messaging system. The choir sang beautifully, and finally I had the pleasure of presiding over probably the most significant event in our diary and calendar, which was a citizenship ceremony for 37 new Australians. These events are clearly uplifting, and I encourage members to attend whenever they can. We are extraordinarily lucky in this country to have a stable border, a stable government, the rule of law, and a generous community which gives newcomers opportunity. It's quite apparent that whilst our borders are secure, we welcome other people into the country and have not tried to exclude newcomers in any way, and we should continue to do so. Will someone move my report be received? Moved by Councillor Abraham today, seconded by Deputy Lord Mayor. We'll move on now to members' reports. Oh, sorry, all those in favour? All those against? Thank you, I apologise. Reports from members, councillors' reports, 14.1. Councillor Freeman.
Just one, Lord Mayor. So I, over the last few weeks, have been representing you on the jury for the Australian Institute of Architects 2026 Architecture Awards for the City of Adelaide Prize for Design Excellence. So we've had the jury presentations and completed site visits as well, and the winner will be announced in June. And I also just wanted to remind the Chamber that there is a People's Choice Award as well in the City of Adelaide, and the nominees for that award are on our website. So tell the ratepayers in the community to vote for their favourite example of excellent architecture that contributes to the city. And the nominations for that award, there's 6. So the Adelaide Aquatic Centre, Adelaide Town Hall Restoration, 88 O'Connell, a Puntia and Olia art exhibition in the Botanic Gardens, Reno's on Peary Street just down the road, and the YWCA on Hutt Street.
Thank you, Councillor. Are there any other reports? Deputy Lord Mayor, perhaps? Okay, thank you. Councillor Davis?
Yeah, I did want to remark upon some of the comments made by the pastor at Commonwealth Day. And he made quite a pertinent speech, I think, about the responsible use of power and the obligation on us as elected members to use that power with responsibility. And that was his main message from that day. And I'd just like to reflect upon that at this time, and I echo his sentiments.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. I'm not sure that you were representing the council. I was, but I was very pleased you attended with me.
Yes, and thank you for inviting me, but wherever I go, if I...
Thank you. You do not have the call. Thank you. Is this a point of order?
No, I'm fine.
You have another matter to report?
Yeah, I was there as a councillor and I was invited as such as a councillor. Thank you very much.
Reports of attendance? No. In that case, would someone move the report be received? Moved by Councillor Abraham today, seconded by Deputy Lord Mayor. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you.
May I ask, Lord Mayor, a question in
Is this
regards
a question?
to... Yes, a question in regards to the machinery. Do we get muted? Do you mute from there, or...
When people have the call, they have the call. When they don't, they don't.
But is the machinery operated by being muted from the top there? So I'm just trying to work out the new...
You only have the call when you have permission from the chair.
So is that a yes?
Well, it's a technical system that's in place. Next item, this is motions on notice. Councillor Cabada.
Thank you. Is it on? No.
Yes.
Councillor Freeman, are you seconding?
No, just declaring my general conflict of interest with this item, Lord Mayor.
Thank you.
Well, it's not. So it's on now.
Councillor Cabada, you have the call. I'm interested to know if there's a seconder.
Yes. Is there a seconder?
Councillor Davis has seconded. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. So this motion is very simple. I've got a variation to my motion as well that I've put through, that I sent through to governance just before this meeting as well. So this motion is about something very simple. It's about making sure our crossings actually match how people are actually using our city today. The intersection at East Terrace and Rundle Street is a perfect example. It's busy, it's complex, and it's only getting more people through it, especially during events like the Fringe and many others, weekends and peak periods. You've got pedestrians moving in multiple directions, cyclists coming through, and cars trying to navigate it all at once. And the question we should be asking is, does the current setup actually reflect that? This motion doesn't assume the answer. It simply asks for a proper assessment of what the most appropriate crossing treatment should be. And most importantly, it doesn't stop there. It also requests administration to identify other high-risk locations across the city, including school zones and high-activity precincts, and provide advice on those as well. Because if we as a council say that we care about safety in school zones, if we say that we care about pedestrian movement in high-activity areas, and if we say we want a safer, more accessible city, then this is exactly the motion that we should be supporting. We cannot say those things on one hand and then hesitate to even assess where improvements might be easier on the other. We ask for reports all the time on a wide range of matters. This one is a practical, evidence-based, and directly tied to how people experience the city every single day. This motion does not commit to construction. It does not commit to funding. It simply gives us information we need to make better decisions. And for me, that's exactly what we should be looking to do. I encourage members to support it.
Part E, what does that mean? Recommend crossing solution based on safety, efficiency and user experience. Is that crossing solutions or a crossing solution? Is it singular or plural?
Of course, Lord Mayor. I'll be happy to clarify for you if it's confusing. What that means is a scramble crossing might not be the most appropriate thing. So just getting administration to come back to us with what they recommend, and I'd be happy to take advice from administration on what they think would be suitable, Lord Mayor, to satisfy.
Are we putting an S in there? We are making it plural for you.
Thank you. So that answers that question, Lord Mayor.
So, Councillor Stephen Tritt, you had a comment?
have a question, Lord Mayor. I've worked out how to use the microphone, so that's a good start. My question, and thank you, Councillor Cabada, for bringing forward the motion.
Councillor Cabada, you could sit down, thank you.
Pedestrian safety is something that we're all passionate about here in the chamber. I'm curious just about understanding how have we been previously assessing these high pedestrian volume areas? Because my understanding is we have looked at school zones. We've got a program where we've already committed to school zone safety previously. So I'm just keen to better understand from administration, how does this differ from past work?
So can I ask if we can comment on the study of school safety and the traffic management strategy, because I think they all intersect here.
Through the presiding member, Mr. Philippou.
Through the chair, if I go to the second question first, the integrated transport strategy, which was approved by council last year, talks to a number of different pillars. One of those pillars is safety and comfort, and the next step in the process for council is to receive an action plan against the key actions and services that are identified in the plan, which talks to pedestrian safety and movement. So that'll be the next step in terms of bringing that back to council.
Sorry, Lord Mayor, can I just clarify further the response there? So does that mean that what is in part 5 is already part of our work plan, or is that separate to what's in the current work plan?
I think the key issue is including, so it's a much broader project, is it?
Through the presiding member, Mr. Philippou.
Through the chair, it forms part of our work plan. What comes out of the ITS is a list of actions that have to come back to council for priority consideration, and that's what is being currently prepared.
Can you roll it up so I can read it? I'm just asking, can you make it so it's all in the screen, because there are 7 parts to this motion now. Can I just ask a question about 5? Is that a more expensive project? It does look like a more expansive idea than what we were led to believe was coming.
Through the presiding member, Mr. Philippou. If I might assist, my reading of the varied motion is that 5 somewhat expands the scope from a focus on Rundle Street, Rundle Road to other high pedestrian risk locations across the city.
Was that answering your questions?
I'm still just trying to understand, perhaps to rephrase my question, are we already doing number 5 or not?
Mr. Philippou.
Through the chair, yes, we are doing number 5, but it will come on the basis of a priority plan against the ITS. To put this into context, we have over 110 intersections that will all need to be reviewed for data collection and understanding of pedestrian and car movements, including signalised traffic arrangements. So when we put all that together, that'll form part of a response back. So dealing with number 5 in isolation to the ITS would make it a different piece of work. Bringing back an implementation plan or an action plan against the ITS to assist council in joining all that together is our next step.
Can I just say, Councillor Davis hasn't spoken yet, even though he's seconded, but then it's Deputy Lord Mayor, then Councillor Marr. Councillor Davis, did you want to speak? Deputy Lord Mayor.
Okay, we have an endorsed integrated transport strategy, which is actually the framework for considering pedestrian crossing and intersection improvements and safety. So I want to foreshadow, I don't disagree with this motion, but I think we need to go broader. And I want to foreshadow an alternate motion, if this doesn't get up, that speaks more to that implementation plan and that's coming back to council and prioritising safety issues within that. I think we need to stick to our knitting and what we've already agreed to, what's gone out to public consultation. I'm fearful of these one-offs and maybe cherry picking to a certain extent, where we actually need to keep our administration and our workforce their eye on the ball to meet KPIs, to meet timeframes. That's already been agreed to. We all sat around a table talking about capital works and timeframes, and we wanted to bring everything forward, and now we throw these things in. We already have a document that's actually doing this. We're already addressing this. We're already going to actually have this work plan that's coming back to us. That will actually pick up this issue. I don't have an issue if there's something in the city that is really glaringly obvious that we need to, to address because of safety issues, because I think safety is the most important thing in this city, and for our people, for anyone that visits the city. But I actually think that this is, to me, just cherry picking a certain area and not sticking to what we've already agreed to, and this will be captured in what we already have agreed to.
Thank you, Deputy Lord Mayor. Can I just say, I'm still uneasy about part 5 in relation to the 6 and 7. I don't believe it's feasible to do an assessment of all the pedestrian risk areas by the 26th of May. I think it's too big an ask, and I'm still toying with the idea of whether I should accept part 5, but I will take it in parts in any case, but I'm uneasy about the 26th of May. Councillor Davis.
I would think that you would probably be well within your rights to knock it out because it's not a motion on notice. I seconded it, but given that it's such a massive expansion and not something that's correctly on the notice paper, I think that you'd be entitled to do that, and perhaps probably do the same thing with the foreshadowed motion if it was any different. My understanding is that this motion really originally on the paper was just to consider one intersection. Now it seemed to morph into something much bigger. I wouldn't object to you knocking out part 5 on the basis that it was not properly foreshadowed for this council.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Martin.
I press that button? Oh, good, thank you. Look, Lord Mayor, I'm at a bit of a loss here. I'm trying to work my way through what's occurring here. But if it is the case that the administration has, it is a question, if it is the case that the administration has instruction from the elected body to develop a set of priorities that relate to pedestrians and vehicle movements as well in this city, as part of the council's response to the integrated transport strategy, does this usurp that? Or does any foreshadowed motion usurp that to the extent that the administration is redirected?
I don't know, but I think that this is all risky. Can I ask if the administration can help? And can I apologise to Councillor Marr? I became temporarily distracted, as I sometimes do. I'm not quite sure why Councillor Davis is waving at me. I'm not quite sure. Is this a point of order, Councillor? No, so you put myself in the queue to speak. Okay, thank you. I think we'll just deal with this as we've been.
Through the presiding member, Mr. Philippou, are you able to address the question posed by Councillor Martin?
Through the chair, the integrated transport strategy calls on a number of key actions. In those key actions have projects and services of which are required to come back and be detailed back with council. So the intention under the strategy that council has endorsed is for council to see an action plan that talks to those items. To answer your question in relation to this particular motion before you, it will be embedded within that response, but it could be seen as it could be something where council will have to make a decision on how it determines its priorities based on that motion. So we'll come back to you with a plan that shows how we deliver or how we propose to deliver against the integrated transport strategy. Some of this can be built in, but in terms of the commitment to a May response on what is dozens and dozens of intersections is going to be highly difficult to achieve, if not impossible.
Have you finished? Thank you, Councillor Marr. Stand up because I was obviously missing you earlier.
I have a few questions. Is it possible to ask a question of the mover? Why this intersection? Has something happened? What's the prompt for this intersection to be the subject of the motion? Through the chair, is that possible?
Fatalities on this crossing. I think, Councillor Kabada, can you just answer it briefly without giving a dissertation?
Of course, Lord Mayor, thank you. Be happy to answer Councillor Marr's question. I've had a lot of people who live in the East End, a lot of businesses, and a lot of people who work at Law 14 and nearby businesses also say that it gets quite congested. When they're driving, a lot of near misses with bicycles as well, and they just raise concerns and ask me to look into it. Hence why this is just a report to look into it, nothing more. It's not asking for funding or construction, it's just asking for a report to see if it's worth it or not. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Councillor Marr, would you like to speak now?
Yes, my second question, perhaps to the administration, it might have already been answered. Is this possible? The substantial work that's requested by this motion, is that possible by the 26th of May due date?
Somebody answer that question.
Through the presiding member, I think Mr. Philippou has already clearly indicated to the chamber that the piece of work requested by the motion in its current form is not achievable by the 26th of May.
Does the administration
that being the case, if it's a clear instruction, we have to remove part 5 then? Is that the most?
Remove no later than Tuesday 26th, as soon as practical.
Well, can I suggest then to make this
question.
even a feasible discussion and people are able to vote against it, I think removing 5 and 7 would be appropriate.
Does the administration have a alternative date in mind, or would it be simply
And
just
there
to
is a
remove the
foreshadowed
entire-
motion, but we'll take it in parts because it is quite confused at the moment with too many clauses.
Just to clarify,
I'm sorry? Councillor Kabada, are you happy for me to remove 5 and 7? Can't be achieved.
I don't know about remove 7. I'll be happy to amend the date to a different date later in the year when would administration have a timeline they would like to give in terms of when they think this would be achievable?
Councillor, I don't think it's appropriate that we make this up on the run. We're asking the council to spend money. Let's just remove the date and remove 5 and take it in parts. Councillor Marr, I think that would be fair. If you're happy
thank
with
you.
that.
That does address my my questions and concerns I've had in asking those questions. I'll speak to this now. I too am concerned that this is jumping the gun on the ITS strategy. I've had a lot of reports about other intersections. I've had reports about bike lanes. I've had reports about parking issues with other parts of our transport system that we have in the city. I'm not sure that simply getting reports of concerns is enough to jump the queue in the face of an ITS strategy and response that we're still waiting on. I'd like to see that first before we do any sort of prioritisation for any particular intersection. So I don't think I'll be supporting this one. I'm keen to see what the foreshadowed motion is, and I'll make a decision on that later. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Councillor Freeman was trying to speak, and after she speaks, Councillor Davis, I think you've already spoken, haven't you? You've just offered me advice, so I apologise, that's right, and then we'll sum up with Councillor Kabada. Councillor Freeman.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Just a question to start with. So the administration's response in progressing this motion is to start with counts undertaken at the intersection as part of that initial assessment. My question to the administration is, is it possible to do an initial assessment without actually undertaking additional counts and spending budget to do
Mr.
that?
Sedgman?
Through the presiding member, Mr. Philippe.
Through the chair, the assessment of different pedestrian safety options is based on data. We need the data to be able to determine how to propose options back to council for a particular treatment at a particular intersection.
And a follow-up question to that, considering there's 110 intersections and then more locations which are not intersections where people cross and interact with traffic, presumably we wouldn't do pedestrian counts at all of those locations at 5,000 each. We would shortlist where locations actually would benefit from those counts. Can I just confirm that would be the approach aligned to the ITS?
Through the presiding member, the varied motion with the exclusion of 5 now limits the motion to a review of the intersection of East Terrace and Rundle Street. So the other 110 intersections are no longer contemplated by the motion.
Yes, thank you, CEO. So, I'll speak to the motion with that in mind, because I do think, as other councillors have said, this is a City of Adelaide wide thing that we should be looking at. And with Part 5 now removed, I'm not sure whether this effort really does benefit us citywide. The reason why I was asking that second question is I would imagine we would shortlist where some of these high priority locations are, and that would come to council so that we could progress additional investigations like this. And we haven't seen that yet, and I do think that we've missed a really important step. I thought that Part 5 allowed us to maybe do that step, and now that's removed. So I'm a little bit lost in the variations, I have to say, though I do commend Councillor Kabata for bringing this to us, because certainly community feedback is a really good way to identify locations where there are a problem. It's just putting it in the list of the other priorities in the city. And North Adelaide, Councillor Couros.
Thank you. Definitely with North Adelaide. Councillor Davis?
I may have missed the response a bit to this, but when is the ITS coming back with all the information that we've talked about?
Councillor, could I just ask you to pull the microphone up a bit, because I'm missing some of your pearls. It's just not lifted off the table, just angle it.
I suspect physics does not permit me to comply with your request. I can't move it.
No, I just meant tip the angle, boys. That's
Like that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Can I ask, when is the information that we're talking about from the ITS meant to come back to council?
Through me to Mr. Sedgman.
Through the presiding member, Mr. Philippe.
Through the chair, that's currently being worked on now, so within the next couple of months we should be able to bring back a report that has an action plan for council's consideration.
An action plan, but nothing, like it's like a general action plan for the entire city?
Through the chair, a plan that responds to the ITS, so across its 4 or 5 pillars that it has in it.
Okay, sure. Okay. Like, my view is that, this is quite an important strategy. Like, this is an important intersection for the city. There are lots of intersections. We talked about one on, Sister Mary Street. The reality is that our job here is to prioritise where our interest is and where the administration's interest is. Many councillors have brought forward issues of concerns for the local community over the years and sought to advance the interests of their ratepayers. I can see that this might be too much of an exercise in point 4. However, my suggestion would be to advance it in the least or the most cost-efficient manner possible, and explore whether there is a necessity here. Now, our council term is about to end in 6 months. Councillor Kabata has been raised a number of concerns from his local residents. Time is ticking for us to move these types of motions, and I think that we should consider this one. This is a massive intersection, one that's used by pedestrians more so than any other intersection, I would say, in the city of Adelaide. I see no reason why we should be confused about the motion, and I don't understand it, and it blows my mind, and all these types of rhetoric that we often see around these types of motions, which is probably used to defeat them. This is quite straightforward. Councillor Cavada is asking for an investigation into a particular intersection which he considers could do with some love and attention as, yes, a priority above other intersections, perhaps those in North Adelaide. This is not an unreasonable request from a councillor. This is purely within his duties. And I would suggest that you report it, or you would support it, and actually advance something that I think is of concern to all of us, which is user accessibility. And it really does rank up there in terms of our main streets as well, right at the end of our main street there. And we've had these discussions in terms of those main street upgrades as well, and making sure that pedestrian access is safe. Now, if the council doesn't, believe that this is a priority, or isn't concerned by, those concerns raised to Councillor Cavada, then I can understand that. Perhaps this is not a high priority for anyone in this chamber, but it certainly is for me as someone who uses it regularly, and I would suggest that you support the motion. It's not going to be the end of the world, and I don't face mass confusion as a result of the words on this screen in front of us, and I suggest you support it.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Martin has raised his hand, and so has Councillor Kouros. Councillor Martin, you've only asked questions to date, but I think
Yes,
we
Lord
must be
Mayor.
getting near the end of this debate.
Yes,
We've
it
spent
is.
quite
It
a lot of
is.
time on it.
It is indeed. And look, I rise, as Councillor Hyde used to say in this place, I rise, Lord Mayor, to speak against this. It is clear from the responses from the administration that work is already underway on the integrated transport strategy, and that work involves prioritising the actions of the city that this council agreed prior to Councillor Cavada's election, and which will determine which of those pedestrian crossings, which of those roadways, bikeways, whatever, should be our priorities, not only in terms of access and safety, but also in relation to accident statistics. So what is being prepared for us is a document that's soundly based on data, and as much as I understand that Councillor Cavada has heard from stakeholders who are unhappy about the current arrangements, I think data-based decisions are always the wisest. And I'm also troubled in the documents that have been presented to us. I heard Councillor Cavada talk about there being a problem with waiting times, vehicles, pedestrians, and the like. And yet the administration has provided for us a link at paragraph 3 to a DIT document on the recommended scramble crossing, which says, somewhat unhelpfully to the motion that's proposed, both vehicle and pedestrian delays usually increase with a scramble pedestrian crossing operation compared to phasing, that is the current system, compared to phasing, which allows pedestrian movements to flow within the vehicle phases. Now, it would seem to me, Lord Mayor, that the intention of the mover is somewhat corrected by the information that's been provided by the administration. It won't achieve the outcome that the mover wants. I would ask colleagues to consider that and vote this down. Wait for the ITS. I don't believe any alternative motion is necessary, that everything is in train. Let us await the administration's presentation of the information.
I think we need to get to the end of this debate. Councillor Kouros wanted to speak. Councillor Moore, I think you've already spoken, haven't you? Okay, thank you, Councillor Kouros.
I just have a question for administration. In the ITS, does in the integrated transport strategy that we have, does it include curbside pickup for vehicles? Are we doing a priority on drop-offs and deliveries and accessibility within that strategy?
Through me to you, Mr.
Through
Sedgman.
that presiding member, Mr. Philippou.
Through the chair, I'll have to take that question on notice.
I've done
I
a
don't
quick
have that in
Google
front of
and
me.
apparently it says yes to me. That is part of our strategy within the ITS. So a motion was brought forward in council in regards to separately about the curbside pickup, and that was a priority for the councillor. And then we had 3 deputations that came in that made us all change our mind. So, I mean, in this case, a particular councillor has brought forward a request that he's got for the public. So I'm wondering if maybe just 3 deputations change everybody else's mind if they hear from the public. What I'm saying, Lord Mayor, is that I'm hearing across this chamber about everyone saying that we don't need it, we have an ITS and we don't need to do this. Yet there have been other motions and continuously motions that this chamber has supported in regards to this transport strategy. And yet this councillor has received, and I haven't, myself personally, I have not received any requests regarding pedestrian crossings, but this councillor has. Maybe it's because I'm from North Adelaide, Lord Mayor, but I haven't received any requests like this. But I'm taking on face value that this councillor has, and maybe it is a concern, and maybe what he's asking for here is to prioritise this intersection when we're doing our integrated transport strategy, and maybe when the report does come through, which, as we said, is the next couple of months, that could be, if you support this motion, that could be an added advantage of maybe we can prioritise this one first. I don't know. It will be formulated as part of the report. I'm sure what administration would do if this motion gets up, they will incorporate this together with what they will be bringing through the chamber. But to tell a councillor that, you know, this is not required and we're currently doing the work, we continuously get motions in this chamber where we are doing the work. Yet we are, as elected members, listening to the public, because that's what our job is to do. And this is exactly what this councillor has done, and this is what previous councillors have done, and this is how things work in this chamber. I mean, I will support this purely because it is the councillor said that he's had concerns. We are, you know, in the midst of doing this transport strategy, and I would welcome that other councillors who've supported other motions which are in the strategy support this one as well.
I do notice that Councillor Kabada's waving at me, but so is Councillor Marr and Councillor Siebentrit. Did you wish to move a procedural motion?
Based on the feedback I've received from my colleagues here today, I wish to withdraw the motion before us to save time and just move on with things. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. May we just ask your seconder if that can be done? I'm sorry, Councillor Marr?
I was going to ask my question, but I think we're...
No, can I just resolve this problem first? My advice is vote it down and move on quickly. Can we... I'm told that it's too far gone, which may describe all of us, but at this stage...
Thank you, Lord Mayor. The usual process...
No, you don't have the call. We're still resolving this matter, whether it can be withdrawn. Can I have some advice, please, from the support team around?
Through the presiding member, I think the strong advice you've received is that the matter has progressed to the point where it can't be withdrawn.
I've never used that rule before, but shall we just vote it down quickly and put it out of its misery then?
Very quick question. The usual process for individual items is that they are put into fresh desk for a response from administration about a particular intersection or a particular
I don't think we're going to debate it any further, Councillor.
Have there been any fresh desk tickets for this intersection in the last 3 months?
That's a question beyond my remit. I don't think we can answer that. Let's honour the request from Councillor Kabada wishes to sum up. Let's put it to the vote.
I just wish to thank my colleagues for their feedback here today, and I appreciate all your input. That's it, Lord Mayor.
So can I thank Councillor Kabada for putting us an end to this. All those in favour? And those against? That's lost. Thank you, Councillor, for your generosity. Now, shall we move on for motions without notice? There are none. Shall we move on to questions as printed and they're on your desk?
I have a point of order, Lord Mayor.
Yes, Councillor.
I noticed in a number of questions which are just in relation to Councillor Kabada's question and nobody else's, that you've ruled that his questions are improper on the basis of its length, and it's not. Now, in my view, that's not supported by the governing rules.
Is this a point of order?
Yes, as I said, it was a point of order. The categories that you may rule the question not be answered are categories of vague, irrelevant, insulting, or improper, and they must be construed according to their ordinary meaning and context. Improper, in this context, relates to the nature of the question. For example, offensive, disorderly, or contrary to meeting standards, not its length or the time required to answer it. Length is not a proxy for impropriety. A question does not become improper merely because it is detailed or would require a substantive response. Accordingly, I request that you withdraw your ruling that questions could be deemed improper because of their length.
Can I? But I will not accept the point of order. I've taken
I would like
advice.
to raise another point of order.
Please do, Councillor.
This one is in relation to the administration. The administration has followed a direction from you, which is, in my view, unlawful, and does not give proper weight to the regulations. And I'm concerned that I have a point of order the administration has followed against the Local Government Act, an order from you, which it should quite rightly have refused and should have answered the questions on notice in its totality.
Thank you. I think it will be appropriate for you to put in a formal complaint. Thank you.
I have a third point of order. I noticed that you've ruled out questions only relating to one councillor, and you've permitted questions on notice from Councillor Kouros and from Councillor Abrahimzadeh, which could also follow the same criticism that they took too long to answer. Singling out a single person and treating them differently to others is a work health and safety threat, and I put it to you that you are, by your conduct in singling out some councillors over another, bullying them. This is a serious matter, Lord Mayor, and I would expect better behaviour from you, and I'll be putting in a formal complaint against you for workplace bullying.
Point of order, Lord Mayor.
Yes, Councillor.
Just to make the point that Councillor Davis is cherry-picking the responses to the questions on notice, Councillor Kavada's third of 4 questions on notice did get responded to in the confidential replies, as did Councillor Kouros's question of a similar nature. So
Thank you for your assessment. Thank you very much, Councillor Freeman. I'll note that. So we'll move on to the next item.
And those rulings will be recorded in the minutes, will they not?
I see
That
no
you've
reason to
rejected every
record
single
it
one of
because
those?
that's not the formal process for complaints.
They'll be recorded in the minutes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, CEO.
The questions without notice, are there any? None, members. Let's move on.
I have a question without notice. Did you receive legal advice in coming to your conclusion and expanded theory of how Regulation 9 would apply?
I'll ask
Or did
the
you make it up?
administration what they have on that basis.
Through the presiding member, the wording of Regulation 9 is quite clear. It centres on a position around vague, improper, insulting, irrelevant. We did seek some supporting legal advice to ensure that the position of the presiding member was appropriate.
Can I ask, who requested that legal advice? Was that you, CEO, or was that the Lord Mayor? I just want to know who's knocking out questions.
The advice was requested by the administration.
Thank you, Councillor.
Was it the administration's?
Councillor, I'm sorry, this isn't a discussion. You can have a question, but it's not a discussion around the
my
table.
question is it the administration providing you with advice so that they don't have to answer questions on notice?
Councillor, you have asked the questions. I think your time is up.
Because in this one here, can I make one further
Councillor,
point?
we do not debate questions
Well, my
on
question
notice.
is, you have allowed...
No, we do not debate questions on notice.
No, this is a
That
question without
rule.
notice.
I'm sorry, Councillor. You may
Lord
not
Mayor,
like
point of order. The member is clearly speaking when he is directed not to speak. He does not have the floor. He is disobeying the chair and interrupting your narrative. That's a breach of Regulation 29.
I think that he has to be warned yet again, and we will not accept any more discussion.
I have one final question without notice. I note that you say that you have, on this occasion, allowed the question to be answered in your reply, and yet the CEO has said that he won't answer them. Can you explain
Councillor,
that
we are not
inconsistency?
debating the answers to questions on notice. You may not like the answer, but they're the ones you've been given, and you must accept that.
But it says, notwithstanding I've decided on this occasion, this
Councillor,
question will
we are
be
not
answered.
debating the questions. Please sit
I'm
down.
not debating the question.
Yes, you are. Please sit down.
No, I'm asking a
You
question
do
of
not
process.
have the call. Councillor Marr, do you have a question?
I do. It's a follow-up question to item 17.2 about rates, objections, property valuations. I understand there was a meeting today about rates. I was not able to attend between administration and some councillors.
I'm sorry, I can't quite hear despite her glorious equipment. Could
Sure.
you repeat the question slightly more loudly?
There was a meeting today with administration and some councillors to give us a briefing on the rates process. Could perhaps, maybe this would be an undertaking, could the documentation at that meeting be provided to all councillors in addition to the answers at 17.2?
I'll ask Mr. Sedgman if he can answer that.
Through the presiding member, I have no understanding or awareness of the meeting you're referring to.
Mr. Spartalis appears to have an answer.
Mr. Spartalis, can you assist the chamber?
Yeah, through the chair, I've had several requests around different rating questions and provided the same induction for the new council members as was provided for the existing council members. I held that today. Unfortunately, only one council member attended. It will go some way to answering some of these questions, but not the full way in terms of the induction.
The specifics of the question wouldn't be answered by that meeting, but the general process would be, is that correct?
No, through the chair, the induction was quite general at a high level.
Yeah.
We'd need to respond more specifically to these.
Can those documents please be circulated to perhaps all council members in light of this question?
Through the presiding member, we'll circulate what I believe is referred to as induction material via e-news.
Thank you.
Notice, we'll move on to item, Councillor Martin. So moving item 19, moving part for item 20, all those in favour? All those against, that's carried. And for item 21? The second one? I think the Deputy Lord Mayor seconded. I saw her hand waving. Item 21, could you move that exclusion again? Moved by Councillor Abraham today, seconded by Deputy Lord Mayor. All those in favour? All those against, that's carried. Thank you, members. Can we clear the gallery and move on to, firstly,